Dr. Arikana Chihombori, the former permanent representative of the African Union to the United States and one of the continent's preeminent Pan-African voices, has waded into the conversation surrounding the causes of the recent coup in Niger and the way forward. According to the distinguished diplomat, the Niger coup is different from many others that have occurred on the continent, in the sense that it was genuinely instigated by the Nigerian people in response to dissatisfaction with their status quo, compared to other coups that have been orchestrated by Western powers to serve their interest. She also said the current situation in Niger is not a coup, but a revolution or an ideological realignment of economic, political, and social values, because the new generation of Africa is waking up. As such, Dr. Arikana opined that since the Niger junta has the backing of the masses, dialogue and peaceful resolution is a far better option to handle the situation than an outright military intervention.
Military intervention in Niger is not an option. That simply is not something we should do as Africans. There are better ways of dealing with our issues. Our elders must come together. Our elders must have a frank conversation, and let's look at what is ultimately best for the people, not only the people in Niger, but in all former French colonies and ultimately in all African countries, because this moment is calling for unity, meaningful unity of purpose among the African leaders to simply say, guys, this can no longer continue. It simply cannot continue. The people have spoken, and I hope our leadership would listen. I see what's happening in Niger, Burkina Faso, Mali, and Guinea very differently. If you look at the previous coups, those were orchestrated by Western powers, majority, of course, orchestrated by France. They had their own intentions, in a few quite documented very well. The leaders were trying to do what was ultimately best for their people, and those leaders were assassinated. The difference between these coups are coups being led by our people. The people have spoken. The people now truly understand the issues. The people are standing up to say what has been going on is unfair, is unacceptable. It really just simply makes sense that something has got to give. There is a difference between the previous coups and these last four coups, especially the one in Niger. I actually, on a personal level, I feel uncomfortable even calling them coups. This is you look at a situation where people are basically desperate, where they know they're rich in natural resources, and yet the majority of the people are extremely poor. How long can that situation be sustained before the people finally wake up and rise up? That is what's happening, and I would like to call what's happening in these four countries as an ideological realignment of their economic, of their political, of their social values. At some point, if you look at the situation with the former French colonies, before even a president comes to power, there are certain no-go areas that the president must not touch, because if you do, you may not live to see the end of the day. Areas like the military, areas like, of course, the finances and the reserves that must be deposited with the French treasury, areas of the natural resources. So if you are a president, an African president, who is coming to power, and you are told, as long as you stay away from discussions pertaining to their presence, military presence in the country, training of your military by France, equipping of your military by France. Don't talk about the natural resources, whose the French companies have the first right of approval. Do not talk, and make sure you continue to deposit your bank reserves with the French central bank. If you avoid those areas, then you're free to run your country any which way you want. Now, what kind of a leader is that? What environment are you going to be occupying and managing and running your country with all those major areas of economic development no longer accessible to you? The whole thing is so mind-boggling that we have gone to, over so many years, this is 2023, that the leaders in Africa have been unable to undo the agreements that were put in place when the African countries were given their independence. It is unbelievable that to this day, you can have a country like Niger to be the second poorest country in the world, and yet all their resources are going to France. Most of Niger is not electrified, while their uranium is electrifying France and Europe. You can take one after the other after the other. At every level, it's unfair, it's unacceptable, and I don't even know how the Western powers could really go to sleep every day knowing of the carnage that the havoc they are creating in Africa, and hope that this will go on forever. The time has come. The children of Africa are now awoken. They can see clearly now, and they're simply standing up and saying, enough is enough. So yes, we don't like coups, but the last 4 coups are very different in the sense that the children of Africa are very clear, because they are the ones standing up and saying, we got to take back our country. We need to defend our turf. What's right is right. What is wrong is wrong. We can no longer continue to be exploited. That's what makes this different. It's not influenced by France. The coups are not influenced by any nation. It's simply people standing back and saying, we're taking back what belongs to us. And that's what makes these coups different. And I'm uncomfortable calling them coups. I'm calling them instead ideological realignment of our economic, political, and social values. The children have risen, and the children are speaking, and the citizens themselves are backing those who have led the uprising. And it is a warning to the Western powers that the African revolution has begun, and those who are going to align themselves with the people are those who are going to survive the revolution that's taking place in Africa. The same is true with the African leaders as well. Those who will align themselves with the wishes of the people are the ones who are going to survive this revolution as well. I do believe the African revolution has begun, and those who cannot see the writing on the wall, they will not survive this revolution. There is no turning back. The children of Africa are rising. The children of Africa understand the issues, and this time they're going to the streets, not along party lines. They're going to the streets united as citizens of Niger, as citizens of Mali, Burkina Faso, Guinea, because they understand that this particular fight has got to be dealt with from a national level, and I hope with time it'll be dealt with from a continental level, because the exploitation of the continent has got to stop. And this time it is the children of Africa who are speaking, and the world better listen up.
Dr. Arikana Chihombori's perspective on the recent events in Niger provides a unique lens through which to understand the situation. She argues that the Niger coup distinguishes itself from previous instances of political upheaval on the continent, as it appears to be a genuine response to popular dissatisfaction with the prevailing status quo, rather than an externally orchestrated power play. By characterizing the events as an ideological realignment, she underscores the depth of societal change and the emergence of a more engaged and awakened African generation. This viewpoint underscores the importance of recognizing the nuanced dynamics at play in the Niger situation and challenges the conventional narratives surrounding coups in Africa by highlighting the potential for domestic motivations and broad-based societal sentiments to drive political change. Also, the Niger junta clearly has the backing of the Nigerian populace, making calls for a military intervention inappropriate. Nigerians themselves have formed the Volunteers for the Defense of Niger and call for mass recruitment of army volunteers to defend their homeland as the threat of external invasion grows. Rallies have also been held in Niger celebrating the coup leaders and their exploits, a clear sign of legitimacy from the people. In light of these domestic sentiments, experts like Dr. Arikana Chihombori believed that any rush towards military intervention could potentially undermine the will of the Nigerian people and disrupt the ongoing revolution that seems to be genuinely driven by popular dissatisfaction. Diplomacy should thus take precedence, and ECOWAS should carefully consider the implications of its intervention, respecting the indigenous groundswell of support for change, while seeking a peaceful solution that aligns with the genuine aspirations of the Nigerian population.
Africa is eventually waking up. What do you think about Arikana Chihombori's assertion that the ongoing situation in Niger Republic is a revolution and not a coup? Do you agree with her? Let us know what you think on this in the comment section below. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more interesting videos. Thanks for watching.